All right. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that will hold. Oh god. This is fine. Everything is fine. Ugh. I'm limber and flexible and everything is fine. Ugh. Hi, welcome back. Sorry about that. Sometimes you just need to kick your router. As I was saying, thank you, Yalk, for the resub. I'm very sorry to hear about sewer woes. And so this is not technically mosaic crochet. It's like a variation on mosaic crochet. Remind me and I will post the video that I used to learn this stitch in Crafting Shenanigans. It makes a lot more sense to my brain than the way that they tell you to do like normal mosaic crochet. And it's the same stitch that I used for the Minecraft scarf this year. It ends up being a lot thicker than mosaic crochet, but I like it. I like it being thick and fluffy. Insomnia sucks. It does. Hi, Randus. I was hoping you would have been able to sleep better last night. I am sorry that that was not the case. I did just have to restart Stream Randus, but if you go back and look at roughly the half-hour mark, I think, of, I guess, what's technically the previous VOD, we did have Sasha time for a little while. He came up and curled up on me for a bit. Things look dire with your sewer line? Oh god. Yeah, those are not words you want to hear. Is it dire enough that maybe the city will have to step in and do it? Hope, hope, hope. Worse than Friday night, because then you stayed asleep and didn't keep waking up? Oh. Yeah, that's very rough. I'm sorry, Randus. Oh. Ooh. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Yelk. Come here. Untangle yarns. Making an ugly Xmas sweater? No, although I probably could use this technique for that. I am in fact making next year's Desert Bus project already because it's going to take me that long. And if it doesn't get accepted for next year's Desert Bus, I am more than happy to keep it for myself. So this is the bottom of the Crest of Hope. And then this is the bottom of the Crest of Light. And eventually, as I move upward, it will be the rest of the crests. And also a Digivice in the center. The black and rainbow that you're seeing here is, I've designed a sort of, like almost a digital static pattern for the background. It'll become clearer once there's a little more height on it. The black and rainbow is a little bit more subtle in person. The camera is upping the contrast a lot. It's a little bit more subtle in person. And I'm hoping it'll turn out looking kind of like a static pattern. Or like, no, static is probably the wrong word. Like, you know the old digital Winamp visualizations? And there was the one where it was like it's audio bars that hop higher as you make more noise. It's like that. I've got like peaks and valleys going. audio static, maybe? Yes, it will be a blanket. It will be a very large blanket. Okay, yeah. Because all the back and forth with the black and static, I'm having to keep a very close eye on my pattern. But yeah, I'm very pleased with how it's turning out so far, and I think it's gonna look really rad when it's done, but it is absolutely going to take me all year to do, which is why I'm starting now. Yeah, well, you know, it occurred to me, I'm like, well, we have a couple Pokemon things every year because, I mean, of course, Pokemon remains very popular. But I don't know that I've ever actually seen a Digimon lot. And Digimon Adventure remains one of my favorite stories. It was very impactful on me as a kid. So, you know, I figured I'd pay tribute to that. Fun fact, for anyone that doesn't actually know, the S in SJ is in fact for Sora from Digimon. My original pen name, years and years ago when I very first started writing fanfic, was Sora Jade. Sora from Digimon and Jade from Mara Jade from Star Wars Expanded Universe fandom. And that was the pen name that I wrote under when Kara and I met. So she always just called me SJ, and it stuck. So yeah, the S in SJ is in fact for Sora. How does Interstacia work? Okay. So your base is chain stitch however long you want it to be. It needs to be an even number. So chain stitch an even number, turn and do single crochet back along. So use single crochet as your base. And then you're basically going to put double crochets in every other single crochet. So I'm doing a lot of color switching, which is different beast. But so you can see here, I've got my double crochets from the row below. Well, technically 2 rows below. So I'm putting, and again, I'm working in black, which makes it harder to see. So I'm putting 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And not pulling completely through, so that I end up with 3 loops on the hook. And I pull through all 3. And then my next single crochet, I just do another normal single crochet to anchor it in between the, I guess, blocks. I'm color switching again. And then I'm almost to the end of this row, so you'll be able to see it when I get to the end of the row. But so this is the front side. When I get to the end of the row, I flip it around, and the back side is all single crochets all the way back. So yeah, I'll be there in a few minutes. But the front side is basically just 2 double crochets in the same loop. And single crochet in between to anchor it. And you'll note that when I'm doing my double crochets, it's in the row below. When I'm doing my single crochets, it's in the top row. So you are doing a bit of bouncing back and forth on yarn. And like I said, I learned this stitch from a very good video. I will send it to you once I'm done stream, because she explains it a bit better than I am probably able to. And then for the color switching, I'm finding it's fairly easy just to be able to drop yarn down the back and kind of have it hanging out until I need it. What I'll do is on the return single crochet, I'll pick this up and drag it over here to where I need it to be and then drop it again, so that when I come back on the following front row, it'll be where I need it and I can pick it up again. But like I said, I'll try to get far enough to demonstrate that. Yeah, it sounds very complicated, but once you've done a couple rows, it makes a lot of sense. And there's none of that, like I tried to learn mosaic crochet, and there's a lot of like, okay, now know ahead of time what your next row is going to be so that you can leave like chain stitch spaces for it. And that just like broke my brain for some reason. This is more solid. It's a lot thicker than mosaic crochet is, but it also makes more logical sense to my brain for whatever reason. We do indeed seem to be back, Kuma. I rebooted the router and that seems to have stabilized it. Hopefully. almost to the end of the row here. The stitch is also a lot simpler when you're not doing a bazillion color switches like I am. Because you can see I'm carrying yarns across and dropping yarns and picking up yarns and such, which you wouldn't have to do if it was just one color or a single yarn. But I guess maybe there's merit in seeing the most complicated version first? Rainbow, and we're at the end of the row. Okay, now that's the finished off row. Now is where it gets very mildly complicated, but not really. So, to do your, I call it the typewriter return row, because this pattern has a back and a front, so this is the front. We've done our pattern along the row. Now we have to get back to the other side so that we can start our next row, right? So the way that we're going to get back to the other side is by doing an entire row of single crochet, which are more or less going to get hidden at the back. Like if you notice from the way that these are formed, the single crochet in between rows are almost completely hidden. But the way that we're going to do it is I'm going to chain one, and flip my work over. All of the yarns. Okay. This is where it gets mildly annoying. You know what? Oh, could oh, my sewing chair, because there's thread on the back now. It's fine. Alright, so I've chained one and I've flipped it, and I've tangled all my yarns. Fine. So now what I'm going to do is that where it goes. So I've chained one and turned it. In this very first, well, I guess the last single crochet of the previous row, this one where I anchored that last stitch, I'm gonna go ahead and do a single crochet, the normal single crochet through both loops. Now, the rest of this row is also all going to be single crochet. However, every other stitch until you get to the very end stitch is going to be in the back loop only. So, going to single crochet in the back loop only, all the way across. The reason for that, get a couple in. The reason we're doing it in, well, I guess, okay, technically it's front loop only. Back of the blanket, but the loop facing you. And the reason we're doing that is so that when we come back across with our next row, that leaves the front loop open for our double crochets. Because otherwise, if we were single crocheting through both loops, there wouldn't be a loop to put our double crochets into. That makes sense? Again, this is black yarn, so it's very difficult to see. I will link you the video. And for anyone that might not know what I mean by like front loop, back loop. So if you take your crochet and you turn it, I don't know how well this is showing up on camera. Again, it's dark yarn. Actually, let's go over here. Get better with the pink. So if you turn your crochet so that you're looking at it from the top down, you can see it kind of forms a little V there. So that's your top, that's the top of a crochet stitch. That is what the top of most crochet stitches look like, is it forms like a little V. So normally you would crochet through both loops like this because this is extremely secure. However, what we're doing for this is we're only crocheting through one loop. So I'm putting my hook through just the front loop, because then that leaves the other loop free for being able to anchor stitches on the next row. Again, it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Once you've done a few rows, it becomes very intuitive. So I'm going to spend the next probably half an hour single crocheting all the way back across here. And you might note I'm carrying my black yarn with me. So when I'm doing my single crochets, I'm keeping the black yarn encased inside them because I need the black yarn back at the front of the row as well. When I get to the pink and the yellow yarns, I will also carry them, but only part of the way, because I only need them in their particular sections of the blanket. I don't need them for the whole row, the way that I do the static and the black. To find the back loop, or calling it the back loop because it's the back of the blanket, but it is technically the front loop of the row. Trying to find one loop in black yarn is kind of a pain sometimes. I think it's Let's say 188 single crochet is what it works out to. It's 94 blocks, so it's 94 of the stitches, but it's double that amount single crochet, so I think it's 188 crochet across the width of the blanket. Rainbow yarn is very fuzzy, so it has a tendency to kind of stick to it sometimes. It's surprisingly soft, though. It's a lot softer than I thought it would be. I'm very pleased. if you accidentally put a crochet through both loops at the end of the world, you can fudge it on the next row. It's just a little bit annoying. Reach the crest of light. Up the pink yarn. Carry it right along. Switch, doing the single crochets in the pink yarn. That makes it a little bit more uniform. Again, these single crochets are not really going to show through, but the more color density I can pack in, better. Carry further back to this. I think the next row is where I have, yes, that's so I carry the pink still. Okay. come back for the... That's where the first pink is gonna be. The yarn will be right there to be... I could theoretically, like, cut the yarn in between each row, but, like, why? I mean, it's not wrong to, like, cut the yarn off in between each row. It would save on yarn. Wouldn't have... But probably not by very much, because you would still need, like, long tails to weave in. And I find that just leaving it attached, being able to pick it back up next row, just makes a very neat and tidy finished product. Especially in a blanket design like this, where, you know, the pink yarn is only going to be in this one block where the crest of light is, and then I'm done with it. And this yellow yarn is only going to be in this one block where the crest of hope is, and then I'm done with it, kind of thing. If it was a more intricate, spread out pattern, it would be a little bit more difficult. Or I would just end up carrying all the yarns all the way across, the way that I'm doing with the black and the rainbow. Which, again, is doable. It's a little bit like a weird crochet version of double knit. Kind of. Not really. Especially since the pattern doesn't show on the back. It's just a right side pattern. But kind of. Is the row where get narrower. Come here. Underneath. See what I mean about keeping all the yarns untangled? almost done. End of this sky. All right, now gotten all the way to the end. This very last corner stitch, very last single crochet, we're not going to do it through the front loop only. We're actually going to go through both loops. This is right at the edge of the blanket. That just makes it a little bit more secure, a little bit more stable. Single crochet through both loops, that one. End of our return row. So now, chain one, flip everything over again. But everything's fine. Going to single crochet through both loops, that one that I just did. Ready to start in on my next row. Some untangling. also that window so I can actually see that in the pattern. There we go. All right. First, and I'm doing my double crochets into that front loop, second loop that I didn't double crochet through, back, neat and tidy. the yarn going? Yarn is going good. Got like a decent chunk of it going. Granted, it's not much compared to what the entire length of it is going to be, but it's going. This is why I'm starting now. Just in a slightly tedious stretch where I'm basically changing color every block. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's really tedious to do, but it's gonna look amazing when it's done, so I'm putting up with it. And it's not that tedious, it's just, it would be nice to have like a stretch of more than one in a row, but I'll get there. There will be longer sections. Tedious is probably not even the right word. I don't know. Very detailed action. And also just, you know, rotating my yarns so that they don't end up incredibly tangled. always nice to realize I've counted correctly. Meow meow. Meow meow to you too, Kite. How did you end up doing a test world? How did it go? do I spell extravaganza? I mean, seems to me exactly like that. But also, I wouldn't. I think, in seriousness, I think you're missing a vowel. But I don't... So, E-X-T-R-A, B, and then I think there's a vowel, but I don't know if it's an E or an A. And then G-A-N-Z-A. I think all of it is right, except for I think there's a vowel between the V and the G, and I'm not sure which vowel it is. Thank you, Kara. That looks correct. Okay, no. Time for more angling. Okay. There we go. That feels correct. Right. We've basically done an entire row. I believe it was roughly like down here where I started. So that's pretty good for 2 hours work. But yeah, I'm sure you will see this blanket again in the future in various stages. I'll probably be working on it on stream often-ish between now and whenever it gets done. Yeah, and that was like 2 hours ago. You have been in a tunnel. Oh dear. Well, yes, that was indeed 2 hours ago. It is now 2 hours later, and I think I will call stream there for today because I'm getting hungry and would like to go have lunch. But yeah, hopefully, my plan is to play some more Pokemon Infinite Fusions at some point in the evening this week. Don't know what day. TBD, keep an eye out, all that jazz. But yeah, hopefully that'll occur. But otherwise, I should be back next Sunday. I don't have any reason why I wouldn't. So until between now and whenever I see you guys next, I hope everybody stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, do all the things, stay warm if you're in a place that's getting snow, stay cool if you're in a place that's not getting snow. Yeah, I'll see all you guys in the future. Carefully move this blanket. Ugh. So as to try not to tangle the yarns any more than they already are. This is why I started using the carrying basket. Which is not going to be helpful when it gets much bigger, but you know, that's a future problem. Bye everybody!